I'm gonna make this video pretty quick for you guys, mainly because it's getting dark out and I gotta walk all the way through those woods back to the house. But I'm gonna go over the chatterbait, why it's good, how to use it, the gear to use, all of that. Let's get into it. So the gear I'm using, Mark Rose Signature Series Lose Reel with a 7.1:1 gear ratio reel. A little bit of a higher speed than I'm used to, but it's really good in keeping that bait moving, because if this bait isn't moving, then there's no reason to really use the chatterbait. 7'3", medium heavy, 13 blackout rod. This is my jig rod, spinnerbait rod, chatterbait rod. This is my go-to for a lot of like skirted lures. Line, 15-pound mono. 15-pound is my sweet spot. It's thin enough to where fish can't see it, but strong enough to where I can really set the hook on the fish and I can pull them away from structure. And the abrasion resistance with this heavy line compared to 12-pound or 10-pound makes the world difference. I've lost far less fish on 15 than 12. With it being the fall transition, meaning fish are starting to feed more, they're starting to be a little less active, but they're feeding more, so they're fattening up for the winter. This chatterbait is probably your best bet when it comes to catching bigger fish. The color pattern is bluegill, and then the trailer is a green pumpkin twin tail menace grub from Rage Tail. This trailer right here alone is probably the best trailer for a swim jig, chatterbait, even a buzzbait that I've ever used for any of like baits like this. It's subtle enough to where if it's colder weather out, you can still use it, but has enough action to get a fish's attention, and plus Rage Tail always comes with that coffee scent right out the pack, just so you're able to catch more fish. Now, I'm gonna go over how to work this bait. So, how you work this bait? It's really simple, all right? You cast out, and I always give it like a 2-second pause for it to sink, 2 or 3. And before I even start reeling, I always give it a little snap of the rod so the blade corrects itself. And so that little snap the bait does when you snap your rod kind of gets the fish's attention, and then you just slow roll it like a spinnerbait. If you need to, you can speed it up. If you need to, you can slow it down. Just depends on what the fish want. It's honestly probably one of the easier moving baits to use, and you can still use like your 7-foot medium heavies. You can still use, you know, your budget setup from Walmart or Dick's Sporting Goods or Academy or whatever the case may be. You can still use your, you know, budget setup. And now let's talk about where to use this bait. This pond right here in particular has a lot of grass for fish to hide, and not just to hide from other predators, but also as ambush points. And they're waiting for a little bait like this to swim by, oblivious to the other predatory fish in the water, and then they just nail it. That's why most of the time when you throw this in grass, that's why the bites on the chatterbait are just thuds. Like, it just sometimes it feels like a cinder block getting dropped on your bait. But just because it's good in grass does not mean just strictly grass. I've thrown this around log jams, rock piles, riprap, lily pads. I guess lily pads are still considered grass, but you get the idea. You can really realistically fish this bait anywhere, and you'll be able to catch some fish. When it comes to color patterns, just, you know, kind of match the hatch. This is a bluegill color. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, with a green pumpkin trailer. Mainly because in this pond and my other pond up that way, bluegill are the main forage in the ponds. I don't think there is any shad, but one thing is for sure, the big bass are predominantly feeding on bluegill, which means big bass eat bluegill, which means if you hook into a fish on this, there's a 50-50 shot it's going to be a decent fish. Now, don't take my word for it. Go out with the chatterbait. This is the Z-Man original chatterbait. I will leave a link in my description down below, so you can pick up one of these today with the trailer. And That's really it, guys. That's all I got. Now, please let me know in the comments down below if you guys enjoyed this video. I know this is a completely random video, probably poorly put together, but I want to upload as much as possible. So I'm thinking every 2 or 3 days I put a video out there, whether it's fishing, gear reviews, how-tos, whatever the case may be. I want to make the best content possible. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.